on WEFM. And at this time, we are going to get some commentary from Mr. Life Compton. Mr. Life Compton, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Why are you chuckling?
Morning, Life.
Forget the
Morning.
mister sometimes.
Excuse you. Excuse
Like
you.
sometimes.
Yes, let me address you
Oh,
properly. I will address. Okay, let's start over. Good morning, Mr. Life Compton.
No.
Oh, you don't want the mister?
No, I don't want the mister.
Or is it because I'm old?
Yeah.
Morning, Life.
Morning, everybody. How are you? How's everybody this morning?
Everybody good. It's Friday.
We good.
You good? You good on this Friday, Life?
Well,
Life, you good when it's Friday or you good when it's another day, Monday?
I get good when it's any day.
Morning, Life.
Morning, how are you this morning?
Good. It's good to hear you.
What's Trinidad?
Mr. Compton. Trinidad good, well. When last I left it, when last I checked it, it was okay. We still standing. Rainy,
Right,
but we
right.
okay. We good.
The Miss Passad, but she acting up with the United States. You're playing boy.
That lady.
Yeah. So, Roleza, leading up to the November 27th, election, there were a lot of people on social media calling for change as well. Very, very active social media presence on Facebook. And the younger kids like to say, the children like to say Facebook, the old people, that's what they don't have want to Facebook, they go for Instagram, right? Because the older generation are taking over Facebook. So as I said, there was a lot of kind of activism on Facebook calling for change the government, change the politicians, and all that. It happened on November 27th. People voted overwhelmingly for the New Democratic Party at this point. Now there's another movement on this, and it's kind of troubling, where people are now calling for people to be fired from the job. And not just the obvious positions that must be removed when a government changes, but public servants. And the reason they're calling for some of these public servants to move is because they were vocal during the election about who they supported or supported. And I find that very troubling. Because why are the Democratic Party supporters still so angry? They want an overwhelming victory. It was actually an embarrassing victory for Unity Labour Party politicians, the ULP, and their supporters. And I think majority of people have come to accept the loss and are ready to move on. But there are a group of people on Facebook that is being vile as usual, calling for public servants to be removed from their jobs. Like normal, simple public servants, office clerks who may have wore ULP jersey in public, or a public servant who may have said something on radio or went to a rally or whatever. And a lot of these public servants that they are calling to be removed are actually people who are very good at their job and who I know would not change that. Because a lot of them take pride in the job and what they do for a living as a public servant. One of the things I saw is that the new minister of culture, I think it is Kashafa Kipe, he went to his ministry and he took a photo with his staff. And everybody in the picture was smiling, and that's it. But people posted the picture online and making comments about what the people in the picture, they should be removed from the position, the smile is fake, and these kind of things. But some of these people they're calling for remove are actually people who are very, very, very good at what they do, and I know will not compromise that for the sake of politics. Because at the end of the day, as a professional, a lot of people treat their job seriously and would not sabotage their job because they themselves do not want to look. And I think it's not that easy to fire a public servant, and I could see now why that was made that way. The person who drafted that legislation and made it that way did a very good thing in doing that. Because the level of victimization you would see after an election from any side would have been so great that it might have just destabilized the country. We heard Dr. Godwin Friday say that the new government, this new government, is hoping, not hoping, the new government has to rely on senior public servants to make the transition smooth. And he's calling everybody to come forward. He even congratulated the Unity Labour Party and the former ministers for their service to the country. And he stated openly that the former Prime Minister, Dr. Roleza, has not reached out to him, and he actually sounded like if he needs him to reach out to him. This is not a bad thing, right? Because that's how it normally goes. Like a outgoing Prime Minister would communicate with a incoming Prime Minister so that they can make a smooth transition in relation to certain things. So without that happening, he is calling on the senior public servants for help. But people on social media are calling on somebody to fire. As I said, there are public servants that would try to sabotage, but I think the majority of public servants want to keep their job and want to do good. And it's I'm not liking the vibe on social media where we see a lot of documents in circulated. For instance, there was one circulated this morning where, well, it's the names. I think it was from the reparations committee, and people were making fun of some of the people on the list. But when you look at some of the names, I can see why they're there, and I can see some of these people don't deserve that type of ridicule. Maybe you can argue some of the names are placed there politically, but that is how things work. And these organizations do not have to in place with these names. These names can be changed, and I don't think anybody would have a problem with changing some of these names and some of these committees and groups and boards or whatever. But when you come out playing and blatant and posting people's name on social media and attacking the chat, I have a problem with that. As I said before, if you're in a position and you don't want to perform and you don't want it and you get put somewhere else, I don't have a problem with that. But then I have a problem with people wanting to work, people willing to work, and then ridiculing them on social media, posting their names out. Someone maliciously circulated a list of police officers that since the new government came into play were transferred. But obviously some of these officers have to be transferred, and it's not a bad thing. For instance, the officers from the Prime Minister's security detail, the new Prime Minister would not take these officers on his security detail. Obviously not. So basically, they were sent back to the organizations, the section of the police force that they came from. And what is wrong with that? Nothing. I don't see anything wrong with that, because obviously the new Prime Minister is not going to keep the same security detail, because it's obvious that over the years, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Roleza, had a specific security detail, and they would have become very close to that Prime Minister. And they probably would have, they feel more, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They will feel more connected to him. So I don't see no problem with them being sent back to the section of police force that they came from. People say, oh, I see one get sent back to traffic. He came from traffic, and he was responsible for traffic with the Prime Minister. So what is wrong with him being sent back to traffic?
Mm.
So, people need to, if you like a party, you already won. Life goes on. Good. And I'm not seeing the level of victimization that people were saying that would happen.
Okay.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I'm glad that you,
that's what I wanted.
because I had a couple questions for you, but I'm happy that you said that last part. But let me ask you something though. Do you think persons in their professional capacity, especially civil servants, should they make it known which political party they support?
Well, apparently not. But I don't have a problem with that. I do not have a problem with that. I made a post on WhatsApp and I said for 2020, since 2001, there are some New Democratic Party supporters that have remained steadfast supporting their party in opposition, very vocal, both private sector and public sector. They remain steadfast in the support of their party. And that's something you have to respect.
But
Now, what I'm saying is that there are some Unity Labour Party supporters that supported the Unity Labour Party since 2001 up to November 27th. After November 27th, they changed over and saying they were originally NDP supporters, and that, to me, that is pathetic. You know what I mean? Somebody said to me, NDP supporters who stayed with the party since 2001, those are what you call real supporters, and you have to be very careful about someone who changes their allegiance after the result of the update.
But do you think it takes away from your professionalism if you come out and you advocate for a party while being a civil servant?
What I think takes away from your professionalism is if I scrutinize your job, if I do an audit on your job, and it comes up wanting. If I did an audit between 2001 and 2025, and your job was great, the job was doing great, and I do an audit in the next 6 months, and it's dropped off, and it shows some sort of unprofessionalism, and you're not doing it, that is what I think is unprofessional. Not saying who you support. That's what I think. Remember, this is just solely my opinion,
I know,
right?
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that. I believe if we have that people not being in a position where they're able to express these things, I think that will be problematic in a democracy, to be honest.
What about police officers? Because I do have an issue when I hear police officers being vocal about the side that they support. What do you think about the category like such as police officers?
You see that problem with people saying decide your support. If you show decide your support and that decide your support will make you not do your job. That's where the problem coming from. The problem ain't coming from people saying who they support and all. The people coming from people saying who they support and then not doing the job because of who they support. That is where the problem is coming from. And if you're not able to make that transition, then I believe, you should be transferred to someone where you can't have an impact, or you should be relieved of your position. That is what I believe. But there are people who, but okay, for instance, one time I used to run a public relations company, and I worked for Front Digital at the same time.
Serious?
Would I compromise? Would I compromise one? Would I not do a different job for one? No, that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
The same level of professionalism I show to one, I show to the other one, and that is for me. Why would I work in a administration, and then when the administration changes, I stop doing the work that I'm supposed to do and I expect to keep the job? It's common sense, enough. But sometimes common sense is not that common. And I don't think this is a conflict of interest. Because listen, what the public service does not do is audit performances and positions. And that's the problem. I knew a guy who was a New Democratic Party supporter. And when the government changed in 2001, he kept his public servant job, but he would never go to work. He would go in the morning, sign in, and leave for the entire day. And he did that for years and years and years and years and years and years until he retired, and nobody never did him anything. And yet we cry about victimization. It was a joke in some because everybody knew what he was doing. No, that is what I call unprofessionalism. And that is what I call somebody needed to be suspended and disciplined. But if you have somebody who voted for the ULP and made it clear that they voted for the ULP, and then the government changes, and then they're still doing the job, and they're able to audit their performance and show their performance is up to par, why cover that happens? Why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the transport and the police force, the transport had to take place. It's obvious. And we see too much leak in a document. The only people who should be leaking documents in the nature of public interest. Politicians who go into ministries and find something is not how it's supposed to be. I have no problem with them taking the document and bringing it to the public in a press conference and say, look at what was happening. This speaks of corruption. I think that is what should happen.
And you see, the leaking of document is because you know which party the person support.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a lack of professionalism.
Mm-hmm. That's a lack of professionalism.
Yeah.
Why should somebody be penalized for the party they support? And it happened. It has happened in the past. It has happened in the past under the Unity Labour Party. And the NDP promised that we will not be taking part in that. And so far, I am not seeing that from ministers.
Yeah. And right, so I'm
seeing that from public servants.
Yeah, but this is a point that I was going to raise as you were wrapping up there. Well, Dr. Friday, Prime Minister Friday, so, apologies, listeners, I still have to get used to it, to saying it, right? But Prime Minister Friday did say back in October that there will be no victimization under an NDP government, right? So that is just something that we have to look at and hold him to. But again, as with the political season, what you tended to find is that supporters of whichever party, and I don't know if it's fair to for us to just be talking about victimization or the threat of victimization under NDP's administration only, right? We have heard talks before of victimization happening or persons or perception of victimization happening under the ULP's administration. Now, while I'm saying that it's not supposed to be do for do, but I don't want for it to make it sound as if this whole victimization talk has only come up under the NDP's administration. However, one of the things that we also need to note is that a lot of the times supporters of whichever party make situations a lot more worse than they actually are. Back before I made the point of back when it was either ministers or candidates, they would not be speaking at all on particular issues. They're not saying anything on particular issues, but the supporters are the ones who make things worse for the parties. So maybe this is one of those categories where that falls under as well. And another thing as well too, is it one of those talks that's coming up because the election is still so fresh, as an immediate post-election concerns or post-election things that are being generated to continue to create some strife and not have us settle and to calm back down?
Yeah, I think it's very problematic, right? Okay, for instance, when I spoke about my interaction with Cupid, and people were like, "Oh, why you don't talk about the other people who got victimized on the ULP?" How would I be able to speak about somebody else's situation if they didn't come to me with it? And I have a problem with people coming to me with things without providing facts, right? Because there are a lot of people that came and said certain things, and I pick and choose which one I would make public in the media through my writing. I did that under the ULP. And there were people who came who, because of my years of interaction with people in general, that I knew that this was to be left alone because it wasn't really what they say wasn't really panning out or making sense. Because I know what to choose. So why would I speak about my situation and people say, "Oh, why you didn't talk about other people?" Why other people don't talk about themselves? There's social media for everybody. There are many radio programs that allow callers. Why you don't call in and talk about your own situation? And saying, "Oh, why I didn't talk about?" I spoke about myself. I have the facts about myself that I can put out and stand by. Why would I be pushing somebody else's thing for them when they could push it themselves? And when so many things that people come and say don't even make sense. You know what I mean? There are people who come and say, "I was victimized," and when you ask them the situation and which they were victimized and they explain to you, you can actually see that's not victimization, that's common sense, but you have to go.
But that is the thing, people are going to look to justify certain things under the title of victimization when it really isn't.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen. But as I said, the ministers ain't doing nobody nothing. It's the minions, it's the people, it's the supporters that come out and do all this stupid thing. You know what I mean? Some stupid person will leak some kind of confidential document and put somebody in trouble just for it. You know? Because the amount of documents that you leak from the police force during this election and still after the election, it's not even funny. Not even funny, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that kind of thing needs to stop. If you know you're being victimized, if you have a problem, somebody doing something, come out and talk about it. Come out and talk about it. Don't wait for somebody to talk about it.
But if you are being
I had
victimized
an interaction with somebody, they know, like I spoke about it.
but if you are being victimized, or if you think that you're being victimized as a civil servant, there are channels that you can go through. Isn't that what the is not service commission is
They could go through.
yeah is
And if you
service
wanna be-
commissions the
Okay, people talking about political victimization and not being able to start to thing. The public service union
right. Mhm.
is obviously against the Unity Labour Party. It's so obvious, and those are people who have public service position.
Okay, that's a whole
And
brand
who's
new topic.
fully- and
Life. All right, it's a
No,
brand new
it's the same
topic.
thing.
No,
It's the same
I feel like this is a brand new topic. I feel so. Right? But that statement that you just made, I feel so. Okay.
No. That's obvious.
Me and you go talk off here with this one. All right.
All right. Yeah, I'll take it easy.
You as well. Have a
I
good
will
one.
take my leave on that one.
If what?
I will take my leave.
All right. We talk to you next week. Have a good one today.
All right.
All right. Okay, bye-bye. And that was today's commentary with Mr. Life Compton. Well, no, he just sent me, don't call him Mr., right? With Life Compton. So we are going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we will have more commentary here on Activated Mornings. We're moving up the Talk to Us time in our next segment, because at 9:20 we have tourism chit chat. All right. So if you have your thoughts and if you have opinions on anything that we discussed earlier in the previous segments, you can raise that in our Talk to Us, which is coming up in a few.